Welcome to the No New Friends podcast, the podcast for adults who like to laugh at adulting. We are so excited for you to start your No New Friends podcast journey. Now, in the first 20 episodes, we've got old microphones that we kind of pieced together. So our audio is a little bit rough for the first 20 or so episodes. But there are some classic episodes in that first 20 that we reference all throughout our future episodes of the No New Friends podcast. So just bear with us on that audio. I apologize. But it gets better. We get brand new microphones right around episode 20 or so. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode of the No New Friends podcast.
And now it's time for the No New Friends podcast with Scott and Mary.
Minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
That's right, you're listening to the No New Friends podcast. I am your host, Scott. With me, as always, my co-host, Mary.
Mary!
Please make sure that you like and follow us on Facebook, No New Friends Podcast. We're on Instagram, no.new.friends.podcast. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, No New Friends Podcast on YouTube. Also, very important, please go on to Orlando Weekly Best of Orlando competition and vote for us, nominate us for best podcast under the category Best Local Color. And I think I said our email, but if not, you can email us, no new friends podcast at yahoo.com.
I just want to take a moment and express that I wish everyone could see your head while you're doing that. You look like a bobblehead.
Fair enough.
You're all over the place, but I love the enthusiasm. That's much better than the sadness I've been feeling. So
thank you very much.
No, thank you.
All right. So we just finished season 3, episode 9, the Red Wedding episode of Game of Thrones. We have not discussed anything. We went right into recording this episode. Mary, your thoughts on the Red Wedding?
I feel like we need to take a break because I need time to process my emotions before I could probably properly express them. I am very upset. I'm very upset. Before we started the episode, I ran down a list of people that I didn't want to die and what I was going to hope like happened in the series. And you didn't say shit. You just let me go along with my dreams. And now they're crushed. Like everybody died. Fucking everybody died. Sorry, part of my language is now explicit.
That's fine. So this is how today has gone for us. Mary arrived at my house at about 10 a.m. and we went right into season 3, episode 9 of Game of Thrones, The Red Wedding. And then we have not spoken a word since the episode finished.
Actually, I needed to like take a lap and take a minute and you wouldn't let me. You said, okay, let's start. And
so
I am still, I don't want to cry in front of people, but I wanted to cry very badly.
You're allowed to cry in front of me. It's fine. So what we'll do is we're going to do this segment and then we'll take a little break and we'll discuss it and then we'll come back on the air. So, you know, I've given this episode a lot of anticipation for you. What were your thoughts? What did you think was going to happen going into this episode?
So because you had referred to it as the Red Wedding and I was like, okay, so to me that meant like, because like the Lannister family is the lion and like their flags are red. So I thought that had something to do with what was going to happen. But then, you know what? I got honeypotted a little bit because good things happened leading up to that. Like Sam, and I love him. His character's developing and he's got some good things going on. And then, you know, it was a little sad that Rickon left Bran, but I just feel like I wasn't ready for the type of heartache I just experienced. Like it would have been sad enough that they killed Rob's wife. Like that would have been enough for me. That was enough for me. It could have ended there and I still would have probably been a mess. And the fact that they just like stabbed her right where like in her stomach, like that was really messed up. I had a very hard time with that. And then they kill the wolf. Like you're going to go that far? They're killing pets now?
Yeah, no pets are safe around those people.
I had a really hard time with that. And I really like it's so heartbreaking to me because Arya was right there and her mom and her brother were right there, like between walls, and they freaking died. Both of them, they died. Everybody died. And you know what? F the bullet, like, oh, I have so much hatred and sadness in my heart right now.
So at this point, who do you hate more? Do you hate Joffrey more or Walder Frey?
I hate them both equally, but for different reasons.
Okay. All right.
But I also hate Prince Joffrey. I really like, he made me mad from day one.
Uh-huh.
So I guess my hatred has just been strong and steady. He's my
Yeah.
blue chip hatred.
Right.
Okay. And Frey and Bolton are my Bitcoin. It's a new hatred.
I think what's really important about this episode is the writer, wanted to illustrate to the reading audience and now the viewing audience of the show that nobody's safe. No character is safe.
And you know what?
I get to dictate who I kill off.
And when we were talking about it, like halfway through it, I didn't trust what was happening to Daenerys Targaryen. And I was like, man, I don't trust anybody. I hate that I trust no one. And for good reason. I shouldn't have trusted anyone. And I did. And now look at me.
You can't trust
now
anyone.
Look at me.
You never know. You never know. And that's what, when you first started watching it and I told you, I said, you're going to think that someone is the guy, the main character, Ned Stark. And then the end of season 1, gone. And then obviously Robb Stark, King of the North, he's a big deal, gone. And then you don't even have time to process it. That's what's crazy about that episode is you don't even have time to process Robb Stark's death because 30 seconds later, Catelyn gets her throat slit.
The thing is I didn't even have enough time to process the wolf dying. Okay, there wasn't enough time to process any of it. And why did they? Why? I don't know.
So for our listeners,
I feel like I need a therapy session after this.
I did record Mary on my phone. It'll be on our YouTube channel. There's not really any major audible things that I can put
because I couldn't speak. I was stunned.
I get it. But
I'm afraid of what my face looks like even now.
You do look distraught. You're not. I have a feeling you could be Martini Mary by the end of the day instead of Mimosa Mary because I don't see.
I'm just gonna go put a straw in my champagne bottle because I haven't felt a hurt and a loss like this in a very long time.
It's a really rough episode to get through, and that was
I feel like I need to know what's going to happen. How are we going to avenge their deaths? We need to fall into action, people. We all need to rise.
It takes several seasons.
Also, this happened many years ago, so I'm calling upon people.
Yeah, listen, this is what's great about that. Game of Thrones ended 2 years ago. The Red Wedding was probably 10 years ago.
No, it wasn't 10 years ago, was it?
That episode aired. Give me 2 seconds and I'll find it. That episode aired June 2nd, 2013. So that was 8 years ago. 8 years ago is when that episode aired, the Reigns of Castamere. And it's fun having you experience all this because this and again, I was way behind the 8 ball too. I didn't start until season 8. But that episode for me, I'll never forget. That's one of those moments, do you remember where you were when? And that episode for me, Rachel and I were living in our townhome. She was outside and I was binging Game of Thrones. And I remember after that episode, now, when I turned on the episode, because she had watched this, she had watched everything before me, it was at the spot where Robb's wife was on the ground. So I already knew that something was going to happen to her, but I had no idea what else was going to happen. So I literally walk outside after this, much like you, I didn't know what to say. I just sat down, opened up a beer, smoked 5 cigarettes, and I was like, everybody's dead.
Everybody I love is
dead. You
dead.
just saw the Red Wedding. And I was like,
everyone I love is dead.
Yep. It's a rough one. It's a rough one.
I just don't know how to recover from this.
Well, I will tell you that in we're going to try to get to some other episodes of Game of Thrones today. In 3 more episodes, it'll be a better feeling episode. So we'll try to get to that today. We've got a lot to do today because we're going to try to record 2 episodes.
We should have saved this for the end because I am not of any use right now.
You'll be all right. I promise you.
I need time to process.
I know. So, the other things that happened in the episode, this, I rewatched it with you. It's the first time that I've rewatched the whole episode. I don't even know what's going on. The rest of the episode is irrelevant once the last 10 minutes happen.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it was definitely overshadowed, but maybe that's why they set it up to be like so calm. There really wasn't a ton of
Right.
craziness
Right.
until
Yep.
that. That's why I was like, I felt like I got honeypotted. Like everything was relatively good until that.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with myself.
You're gonna be okay.
I, yes, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I need therapy,
Uh,
not from myself. I
yeah.
need to go consult my bottle of Andre in the fridge and see what he thinks about this situation. Maybe Tito has an input. I don't know.
It's tough. It's a tough one.
I
But
don't know how you guys are all out there just living your days knowing that they all died and you're okay with it.
no, we're not. It's a traumatic episode that there's so much more that happens in the show. I mean, you're only on season 3. You've got you're gonna finish season 3 today. There's still 4 more seasons of this stuff to watch. So there's a lot that happens, and there's a lot of other character development. There's a lot of things that'll make you happy, that'll make you angry. But this was to me, this episode was like, if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, this is in season 2 when Sophia, the little girl, comes out of the barn and she's a walker. That was that moment for me, because never in a million years did I think that they would make a child a zombie or kill off a child character, and there they did. Much like
they have no issue killing off anybody.
No,
I trust no one.
And that's the thing. That's what's so important about this episode, is I think that it now, you can't fall in love with anybody, because they'll
die
never
and
know.
Die.
You never
and then
know.
Everyone will die.
Exactly. You never know who is going to die in the show. I mean, they kill off Ned Stark. I mean, the major character in season 1.
Yeah, and almost his whole family. And I mean, just even minute people. You can't even just live in peace. They killed off a horse farmer just for no reason.
Right.
Like, they're like, we want your horses. You're dead.
Yep. And you keep asking me questions about the Daenerys Targaryen story, like that storyline and what's going on. It took me several seasons to get behind what was going on with her, because to me it was a distraction from everything else.
No, I love her character. Like, I feel like just watching her go through everything has been a lot for me. She's done a lot of good work, but now I feel like she's in a really weird situation. I don't trust these cats that she's hanging out with right now.
I get all that, but to me, the major story was what's going on with the Starks, what's going on with Arya, what's going on with Bran, the Lannisters, all of that. So every time they went to
we didn't
Daenerys,
see much. We literally saw nothing from the Lannisters in this episode, other than
the Lannisters and their regard.
Oh,
yeah. So to me, every time they go to the Daenerys Targaryen story,
you're like, well, let's get back to the real story.
Yeah, I'm like, let's get back to the main thing. Now, after it does make sense, and I get it all, and it's like almost the major thing. I mean, it's 2 stories colliding, or a bunch of little stories into this one big story. And
I feel like I need it to clean up a little bit. I need all these small storylines to come together.
It takes some time.
Because for me, I can't hate multiple people like this all the time. You know, like I need to know what's happening right now. I'm a millennial. I want instant gratification. And I want to know that everybody that I wanted to be okay is going to be okay, even though that can't happen now because everybody's dead.
Well, not everybody. I mean, Arya's dead.
Well, I mean, I told you the people I wanted. A lot of the people I wanted to be alive are alive, but a lot of them are dead now too. Yep. So I don't know. I have to process that. I need to grieve.
Well, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to breathe. We'll hang out for a little bit. We'll have the off-air discussion, and then we'll come back in a little bit after you've had time to recuperate.
Cry. Oh, yeah, recuperate. Yeah, that's what you meant.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you need to cry, you can cry. No judgments for me. It's a rough episode. Look, there's other shows that I've cried.
And she didn't get to see her sons.
No closure there. No closure.
No closure. None. Yep. And even Jon Snow, no closure. Nobody has closure.
Yep. And Bran and Jon Snow were so close. They were so close. So close, so close, and yet so far.
Could you not sing right now? Because this is not the time to sing. I said, do you want to fight me? Do you want to catch these
So
hands?
what was with those words that they say with I thought that they were activating the Winter Soldier with the words that they say when they get married.
I was like, what does that have to do with a marriage ceremony?
Yeah. Meanwhile, Bucky Barnes is killing someone. Who knows?
Probably he's been activated.
Best crossover episode ever.
Another name added to the list.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly.
Oh,
all right, you're listening to the No New Friends podcast. We'll be right back.
or maybe not.
No New Friends Podcast is now using Nikki Podcast Preparations Incorporated, which is a podcast management consultant agency of services that helps independent podcasts obtain more plays, downloads, guests, sponsors, and a bunch of the legwork behind the microphone when it comes to podcasting. CEO Nick can be contacted via Twitter or Instagram at NikkiKeepyINC. And if you tell him that the No New Friends podcast sent you, we'll both get a 25% discount. Nikki has helped accumulate millions upon millions of downloads, tens of thousands of dollars in sponsorships, celebrity guests, and much more. So just shoot him a direct message to get your podcast growing.
Okay, let's be friends. Follow the No New Friends podcast on Facebook and Instagram at No New Friends Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our new YouTube channel, No New Friends Podcast, where you can get a behind-the-scenes look at our recordings, everyday life, and shenanigans. Okay, bye.
Hi, this is comedian Miguel Colon, and you're listening to the No New Friends podcast.
Welcome back to the No New Friends podcast with Scott and Mary. Don't forget our Facebook page at No New Friends Podcast. Please subscribe and share our YouTube channel and all that good stuff that I probably don't need to repeat because we have a commercial about it and I say it in the first segment. So there we are. Fair enough. Mary, anything else that you want to say about Game of Thrones? You talked a lot about the Red Wedding in the first segment. It's been a while since we talked about Game of Thrones. You recapped season 1 for us already. Anything else on season 2 and 3 that you want to talk about?
I think that the wounds are still pretty raw.
Right.
I guess all I want to say is if anybody wants to help chip into my therapy bill, there's that support button.
We're going to, please support us. It's right there in the episode description. There's a link to support us because we're going to have to send Mary to therapy.
100%. And I know that most of you are like, hey, girl, read your own notes. Isn't this what you went to school for? Yes, it is. But I did not study trauma therapy. So it's very difficult for me right now. And we were talking about this earlier. I've never really stuck through a series before. I've gone on and off. I watched The Office and I watched that over and over again. And that does bring up emotions, but in a different way. I even watched The Last Kingdom, and I don't know if you've watched that on Netflix.
I have not.
The concept and the time era is pretty similar. You can't trust anybody. Your head's probably going to get cut off. Same type of idea.
Right.
But I wasn't as involved with the characters in that as I've been with Game of Thrones. And
sure.
I'm not upset that it took me so long to watch it because now I can just binge it all and that's good. As soon as we're done with this, I need closure. I need to watch more because I don't know who I am right now.
And the rate that you're going, you'll be able to finish this series in probably about 2 weeks because season 8 is only 6 episodes.
I love that. The way that you word "you have no life" is at the rate that you're going.
That was a nice way of saying you have no life.
A nice way of saying you have no social life is at the rate you're going.
Yeah.
You could pound out 97 hours worth of TV.
I'll tell you the things that I needed therapy after. There's a couple, and they're going to surprise you because they're mostly sitcoms. But The Office, I needed therapy after The Office because
I'm saying that I agree.
Yeah, it
wasn't a massacre.
It wasn't a massacre, but it was by far the best finale of any show that I've seen. It was beautiful, and I cannot watch that episode without crying. And I've seen The Office all the way through, start to finish, about 4 times. And that series finale gives it to me every single time. Now, do you watch The Walking Dead at all?
No, I refuse.
Okay, well, one, great show. And there's a whole universe around it. There's 3 different shows with The Walking
No,
Dead,
I
and then there's
know.
going to be a whole movie series also. But
It's intense for me. I don't want to feel stressed out.
it's
I feel
oh
like
my
I would
God,
feel very
it's
stressed out
incredibly
watching it.
stressful, especially when they go on like a supply run and
Yeah,
they're
like, I
in
don't-
like a
why would I
deserted
want
grocery
that?
store, and you know that something's going to happen. But there is an episode in The Walking Dead. It's called the Pike Scene, and they're battling this other group. They're called the Whisperers, and
Why are they called the Whisperers?
because they
Whisper?
wear the skins of these zombies. They're called walkers in the Walking Dead, and they communicate with each other and they whisper, and they use walkers as a weapon. They're able to kind of corral them, because the walkers don't realize that they're alive, because they've got the smell and the scent and the faces and all that. So
I mean, that's really smart, though.
yeah, before you realize that it's just another tribe of people and they're whispering and all that, it's super eerie. But they're in battle with the main group, and the main group kind of crosses their territory, and the leader, her name is Alpha, she says, hey, I need you to meet me at these coordinates because we're giving you a warning or whatever. So they come, and there's all of these people from the main group, their heads are on pikes, and they're now like zombified. And it starts off with like some characters that we just met, so it's like no big deal. And then it goes to like some C-level characters where it's like, oh my God, that sucks. And then like some B-level characters, and you're like, oh my God. And then and then like one of the most heartbreaking deaths in that series. And it's just like the Red Wedding, where it's just like one thing after another, and you're like, make it stop. Same thing with the Pike scene
somebody
in
put this
Walking
train
Dead.
back on the track.
I felt
can't
sick
handle
after
this.
that episode. There's
Aw.
several episodes where I felt sick. When I said it in the first segment, when Sophia, the little girl, walks out of the barn and she's a zombie in season 2, it was like, oh my God. Other obviously Infinity War in the Marvel series, like that was so painful. And
When Spider-Man was that broke
Yeah.
my heart.
well, it started
I had
off
a
with
hard time with
Bucky.
that.
It started off with Bucky, and I was like, okay, I'm not really connected to Bucky, so no big deal. And then Sam, and in the last episode, I kind of discussed how I felt about Sam at that time.
Right.
And then Black Panther, and then
Which really upset your mom.
which really upset my mom, and then some other characters, and then Wanda. And like at that point, I was like, oh well, this really sucks. But then Spider-Man, I was like, oh my God, like make it
I
stop,
cried.
make it
I
stop.
cried so hard.
Yeah.
But then it reversed itself. It put its thing down, flipped it, and reversed it for Endgame, because then
For sure.
it was the opposite. And
Yeah.
why do we have to have our hearts broken?
I know. And then I was watching with Darren, who had already seen the entire series, because I didn't start watching the Marvel series until Spider-Man Far From Home had come out in theaters. So I'm like, make it stop. And then the post-credit scenes in Infinity War is Nick Fury and Agent Hill, and I'm like, oh my God. And then he doesn't even tell me, like Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'm watching that, and all of a sudden the post-credit scene, it's Hope, Hank, and the mom, what's her name, Janet, they disappeared. I'm like, oh my God. Like,
So now you know
I'm
how I felt when
screaming.
I was asking you
Oh, no,
questions, and you're just
I know.
staring at me.
Yeah, but I tend not to. I won't ask questions. I don't try to figure it out. I don't try to get a reaction out of anybody, because I like to enjoy the journey, and I like to experience things the way that they're supposed to be experienced. Other shows, How I Met Your Mother finale, and that was, I needed therapy because I endured 9 seasons of that show. And again, I binge watched it. I watched it long after the show was over. But 9 seasons of that show, 9 brilliantly written seasons for that series finale. And that series finale at the time was god awful. Now, again, I've said this a couple times. Now that I'm rewatching it, I think I'm going to be better with it. I don't think I'm going to be as upset by it, because now I know, and now I'm kind of looking forward to it. Another one, oh my God, The Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory, first of all, my sister was like, yeah, the finale's not that great. You're not going to really like it. I love the finale. And then when I finish a show, that's when I finally go on YouTube and read all the trivia about it and kind of learn the little Easter eggs and all that. Well, I also found on YouTube the last table read. And at the last table read, they're reading the description. They're like, they're going to be sitting around the table for one last meal on camera, and then this will play. And it was that slower version of the Bare Naked Ladies song, the credit scene.
Mm-hmm.
And every time, and I see them crying, and I'm a mess. And that's typically especially when a sitcom ends, I get really sad because I'm
I think that the end of
characters.
anything that you're invested in, and I guess mine are on a smaller scale, and probably a tribute to my childhood trauma, like Land Before Time.
Sure.
Good God,
Oh.
that was very traumatic for me.
Pretty much Disney movies in general are very traumatic. I mean, Bambi, I can't watch Bambi.
Neither can I.
I can't watch Toy Story 3. I can't
tough one.
watch. Yep, I can't watch Land Before. Any time an animal or a parent dies, I can't.
It's very tough.
Especially an animal.
This is
Tarzan, can't do it.
That's tough. Okay, this is off topic, but have you read or seen any of the fan theories about Lion King and Mufasa?
Refresh my memory. I'm not sure.
Okay, so hold please. Essentially, it's basically that hyenas don't eat lions.
Okay.
So that leaves the question of who or what ate Mufasa because his body was gone.
Well, he just got trampled on. Mufasa or Scar?
Mufasa. Whenever Scar lets go of him, he gets trampled. But where does his body go? You don't really know like where it goes.
Probably eaten by vultures.
No. Do you know the scene where Scar is like has a little like head and he's like making it talk whenever Zazu's in the ribs?
Yeah.
That's a lion skull.
Oh.
So the fan theory is that other lions eat lions when they die sometimes.
Oh.
And the fan theory is that Scar ate Mufasa, which is even worse.
Have you
Very
ever
dark.
Have you ever read the it's like the Pixar connection or whatever, but it connects every single Disney movie, like all the more of the recent ones, the Pixar created ones. It's called the Pixar story or the Pixar conspiracy or whatever, but that they're all linked, and there's proof because there's little Easter eggs in each Disney movie that shows, like, in Brave, there's Sully in the background from Monsters Inc. And the whole theory is that Boo from Monsters Inc. is actually the witch from Brave, because there's a whole thing with doors and bears and all that. And I haven't seen
That's
Brave.
interesting.
So, yeah, but it connects all of them. There's also clues in each Pixar film as to what the next film is going to be, because there's always like a little Easter egg in each thing. It's super, super interesting.
Wow.
But, yeah. What other shows or movies get a reaction from you? I won't watch because of Winn-Dixie or Marley and Me.
No, I can't
because
I know what the outcome is. And
I don't even know what the outcome. I saw Turner and
don't wanna
Hooch with Tom Hanks.
Oh, yeah, that was such a great movie.
I'm done with animal movies. I can't. I watched The Bear, which was like a documentary of a bear, and I lost my mind when like the bear couldn't get up the mountain or whatever. There was a scene in Sesame Street where it was like sad things that happen, but there's usually good outcomes, and there was like a turtle struggling on his back, and I like lost it. Every time that clip would play, I would have to leave the room. It was so
you can't even watch
dramatic.
It too. Well, I think on the opposite side, Homeward Bound, when all the animals come back, that elicited a big response from me as a child. I was very happy about that. Maybe I just have no soul. There's not much that like really, really affects me, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Watching the Red Wedding, when they killed the wolf, I got really upset. That really bothered me because I felt like there was no hope at that point. I don't know.
Well, that's what's funny about the Red Wedding is it starts off with Robb Stark's wife, which, at the time she was significant, but in the grand scheme of things is a B character. And then,
I know, but she was so significant. She had a baby.
Right. That was awful. That was awful. And then the dire wolf. I mean, that's heartbreaking.
I feel like I can't talk. I'm not ready. Let's find another show to talk about. It's too soon. The wounds are open.
Yeah. The West Side Story, and we're going to talk about that on Thursday's episode. So I don't want to discuss it too much, but that man, that movie, I want to pause it at a certain point and just be done with it. Patch Adams with Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, yeah.
There is a certain part in that movie where everything is going great and I just want it to end there. It's like, I don't need to see anymore. It's been long enough. I've been entertained. This is a good stopping point. But no, it continues and it's devastating.
Going.
Yeah. I don't like sad movies. I started watching, I watched a couple seasons of This Is Us up until
when the crock pot blew up.
Yeah, up until the episode when the father dies. And I watched one more episode after that, and there was a couple things that bothered me. One, I just don't want to be sad every single episode. And two, when they killed Jack, and that show, and I know you haven't really watched it, it's a combination of present day and flashback. So you've known since the very beginning that the father dies. You just didn't know how and when.
Don't know how, yeah.
Right. Or you know how, but you didn't know how, but you kind of knew when. And there's something that happens where it's like, oh, he dies this way.
Yeah,
and it's
we
kind of like that.
Yeah.
Right. So I felt like when they killed him off in the past, when we had reached that moment when we see when he dies, I think that should have been the end of that character. For us to really appreciate everything, I didn't want to continue to see that actor portraying the father unless it was an occasional flashback here and there. No, the show just continued on where they would do flashbacks because the flashbacks weren't always in order. It was different time periods. So he still, to this day, is still part of the cast. And I've heard that it makes sense and it's great. I just can't get behind it.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I don't want to bring up pain over and over again.
But I want to watch comedies that are no brainers. I don't want to watch sad things. I don't like being sad. I'm a generally happy person, and
maybe my senses have been dulled because my favorite things to watch are like murder documentaries and things like that. But it's still different because it's more scientific for me at that point, like figuring out who did it and just like the psychology behind it.
Sure.
But when you're just watching it as a character, I'm a part of your family, and then you died.
Yeah. No,
I'm going to need a wake, I'm going to need a funeral, and I need a few days off of work.
You need closure.
Bereavement.
Yep. All right, we're going to take a quick break. You're listening to the No New Friends podcast. We'll be right back. At this time, the No New Friends podcast would like to thank one of our supporters, Chris Kelleher. Thank you for being a supporter of the No New Friends podcast. You too can be a supporter. It's very simple. All you have to do is click on the link in the episode description, and you too, for as low as 99 cents per month, can support the No New Friends podcast. What this does is goes towards new equipment, marketing, and other operating expenses. Support today, and again, thank you, Chris Kelleher.
Hey guys, comedian James John, and you are listening to the No New Friends podcast.
Welcome back to the No New Friends podcast. You can follow, share us, No New Friends podcast on Facebook, Instagram, no.new.friends.podcast. Please make sure that you vote for us or nominate us on Orlando Weekly's Best of Orlando competition under the category Best Local Color, Best Local Podcast. And then also please subscribe and share to our YouTube channel. And there's already a video up there of Mary's reaction to the Red Wedding that we watched today. Please watch it. It's classic. It's classic Mary. It really is. It's fantastic. It's everything that I had hoped for when planning to record this video. Also something that's going to be coming soon, probably about a month or two down the road, and I'm not going to get too far into it, but it will be on our YouTube channel. We're going to do this contest here at Casa de Maffei, and I can't get into it right now because the details have not been squared away, but be looking forward to that. I'm going to give more details every single week, and it's going to be super, super exciting, and I'm hoping that that video goes viral. Now, I have I'm obsessed with this podcasting. I absolutely I look forward to recording and editing every single week. I think we're doing 3 episodes a week, more for my benefit than anything else, because I love it so much, and I would get super depressed when we do Thursday's episode and then we didn't do it again until Tuesday. So that's a long week for me. So that's why we're doing 3 episodes. I love that
you were like, Mary, you have nothing going on 3 days a week. I know that you're not busy.
I don't know what we're going to do when we now in our head kind of have a schedule of what we want to do. I think we're going to start recording Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the episodes are going to post Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. I think that's a good schedule and all that. If you get a job, or if I get a job, we're screwed. We're going to have to figure this whole thing out again.
I mean, we'll just have to change what time we record, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
So, we're still new. We are infants to this podcasting thing.
Little tiny babies.
We're still
for sure.
learning.
Like, I'm using earbuds. Let's talk about that.
We know that our sound system is not the best. I mean, I've got a decent headset, but it's more for gaming. So I know that I sound a little off.
Oh, so Mary's is this a game to you, Scott? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So, I'm very excited about this podcasting. So I found some support groups on Facebook.
You say some. Please share with everybody.
I'll get to that. And it was first just the podcasting support group. So I joined that group. Then it was Anchor support group, which that's our platform that we upload our episodes to, and then Anchor distributes it to the other platforms. So I joined that one. Then it was Podcast Nation, and then Promote Your Podcast Here. I am now part of 42 podcasting groups on Facebook. One of them is UK podcasters, and we are clearly not in the UK. Well, I just want to get some UK listeners.
You're going to have to change your name. You're Brantley.
Yeah, to Brantley, which is my dog, my English dog.
Yeah, and sometimes you invite me to join them as well.
Yes.
And some of them I did, and I tried to be active, but then some of them I just did not.
Yeah, I went to Facebook jail on one of them yesterday.
What happened? How?
So I think what had happened was they all have different rules, and the main ones that really post a lot are Promote Your Podcast, and a lot of times people are saying, hey, listen for listen or subscription for subscription. So they'll post their link, you post theirs, you take a screenshot of you subscribing to theirs, and then they'll do the same for you, which is great. And I've actually made a lot of connections. There's one podcast, it's called Buzz in the Tower, which is all about 80s pop culture, mostly 80s movies, 80s comedy. It's a really good podcast. Buzz in the Tower, BUZZN, the Tower. But also there's others that the rules are you cannot post your link onto somebody else's post. Well, I get confused as to which one they are. So I saw a podcast and I was like, oh, well, this will interest me. So I went to their link, I listened, I subscribed, I took a screenshot, and then I sent a picture of that screenshot back to them, commented it, whatever. And thank you. And then I also posted our link. And I think that is what got me suspended for a day. And I'm like, okay, first of all, there's so many of these. I got confused with the rules. Couldn't you have just sent me a, hey,
did you feel like
you
had to? Did you feel like you had to explain yourself? Or you
absolutely.
Off?
I was looking for the moderator or the admin's, profile so I can contact them.
Yeah.
One, so I could apologize because I didn't mean any harm. Two, explain to them that I got confused because I'm a part of 42 different groups.
Don't let them know that you're a group whore. You don't want them to know that you're,
They're all group whores. Because I'll see some of the same people, and now I'm to the point where I'm going to subscribe to the same podcast because I've done this so many times. I cleared out 63 screenshots of me subscribing and sending it to people. So then I also want to say, hey, your rule is dumb.
That rule is dumb.
The podcast support group, I get it. Because it's more asking questions. It's asking questions about how do you gain listeners? How do you upgrade your equipment? What equipment? So for that one, I get it. This one's just called Podcast Nation. Someone posted their link and I'm like, hey, I'm going to let them know that I subscribed. And
but I guess because it's a comment on their post. So you should have made your own post. Make your own post.
It's a stupid
they do.
Rule.
Clearly you landed yourself in jail. So they care. Respect the rules.
But again, this was my first offense. couldn't you just send me a warning? Hey, we had to
Yeah, I
remove
mean,
that. You can't
that-
do that. Next time you're going to be suspended for a day. If you do
it's
it
a
after that,
misdemeanor.
you're
Why
done.
am I doing time? Like, you
Yeah.
should just have a court date and pay a fine
Right.
instead of getting locked up.
And like when I say I felt bad for like 3 seconds, and then I was over it. I'm like, once they put me back on, I'll publicly apologize, and then I'm going to remove myself from that group.
Let's start the Scott Maffei apology tour.
But what had to happen is that person that I linked on, or that I posted on, must have reported me, because
No,
how
maybe
else?
not though. The moderators may have seen it and were like, nope, don't allow that here, deleted,
Yeah,
and
it's
also
just-
jail.
Yeah, that was my first time being in Facebook jail or getting any type of warning.
I've never been in Facebook jail before, and
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
And I wasn't
honestly.
in jail. I was just in their group's version of jail, which is like
Oh,
Disney
so
jail.
you were like held at the security office.
Yeah,
is what
exactly. I was
happened.
suspended from posting on that group for 1
I mean,
day.
who hasn't been
I
in real
don't
life?
know.
I don't know.
I don't know, but I'm such a goody two shoe. I don't like getting in trouble. I don't like getting reprimanded or anything like that.
I
So-
feel that. I take it offensively. Like
Yeah.
I get upset if I'm reprimanded. as
So
an
when I
adult.
saw that, my heart sank a little bit. It's much like anytime I would get fact checked by Facebook, I was like super embarrassed.
yeah,
And it only happened once, and it was a partially true statement, but exaggerated or something. But I still like my
Yeah.
heart sank, because I'm like, oh, now I look like an idiot because everybody's seeing that I got fact
somebody
checked.
questioned it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
too, like I feel like I'm getting in trouble. And then I would see other people on the other side of the political spectrum getting fact checked, and I'm like, ha ha. And I'm like, I wonder if
Idiots.
they feel the same way that I did.
Oh, they 100% felt that way. Are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
No,
They're
well,
just
no,
looking
because
for you to
that
slip
side
up.
is like, oh, Facebook is so impartial and
Oh, yeah,
violating
censorship.
freedom of speech.
Yeah,
We're just going to
for
go over to
sure.
Parlor.
Oh my God, that was my favorite part. I'll be on Parlor if anybody wants to contact me.
Like,
Nope,
I'm
nobody
like,
does. Have fun.
Peace out.
We'll see you later. We'll meet you at the QAnon rally later. Like, the hell?
I like to
Oh.
imagine the person responsible for the QAnon posts and the things that get the videos and whatever gets people sucked into that, as this like 15-year-old stoner who just like
Probably.
it's almost like Mad Libs, where he's got different
Yeah, he
topics
just
and
squashes
people
things
and
together.
something,
Oh,
and
yeah.
just throws a dart at
Oh,
it,
no.
and then says, okay, this one with this
Yes,
mix and matches
Yes.
stories.
Okay. So prime example is the adrenochrome. How they brought that, they put that shit together, and it makes no sense. Which cracks me up, because an adrenochrome is an actual scientific thing. Like, you do take adrenaline, you oxidize it, and there's an actual compound. It's not FDA approved for any
Right.
type of treatment, but other countries use it as a blood thinner.
Right.
But somehow it got spun into people sacrificing children, and by people, Hillary Clinton specifically.
At a pizza shop.
I feel stupid even saying it.
It's
and
so
then,
ridiculous.
and so then they sell it, and that's why Cher looks so young.
yeah, exactly.
That's 100. I promise you, that is a real post
The-
that I have seen. And
the
I
other
want
thing-
I want to put scientific facts, but nobody cares once
No.
you're that far in.
No.
They're like, we don't know what science is at this point.
Right. It's all part of the simulation. Another thing that
Correct.
drove me nuts is when, like, Regeneron, when they were referring to it as a medication. Regeneron's not a medication. Regeneron is a company that makes the Redesmophere. I can't even say
Yeah.
Redemosphère, whatever.
Don't ask me to announce things.
But-
I
I
don't
know.
know what's happening.
It-
I'm
it's
still
just-
in shock.
and again, this is not a political show. I don't want to go down that road, but it's just some of the things were ridiculous. And
Can I make a comment really quickly?
please do, please do.
Our
Get
last
us off this
episode
train.
Well, this is actually just fueling the train a
Oh,
little
God.
bit.
Okay.
So remember when we were talking about Facebook fights?
Yes.
And I had gotten into that one. So that
Yes.
particular person posted another thing, and
Okay.
it said, I find it more attractive when women don't show off their skin for attention. Who agrees?
What?
That was his post. And he wanted people to say, yeah, like they should cover up. But also, like, I kind of wanted to be like, why though? If you're lusting after them, don't I technically get to like pluck your eyeballs out? I feel like that was a line somewhere,
Right,
right? I
right.
don't know. But I didn't. I did a good job. I kept scrolling. I didn't say anything. But I just thought it was funny, like the just the line of thinking there was very obscure to me, and how the burden of whatever was put on how women dress. It's hot as shit. I'm wearing shorts and I wouldn't say a crop top, but a shorter shirt because it's hot.
It's hot.
It's
yeah.
not because I want attention.
Right.
I don't care.
I think didn't I say that like in one of our first episodes? I said something about
you
the
made a
short
comment about girls wearing short shorts.
Yeah.
It's because it's hot.
Yeah.
And they don't make Bermuda shorts for people my size. That's
Right.
not a thing. I'm a grown ass adult, but also a 12-year-old boy all at the same time.
Yeah.
So I wear what I wear.
Jesus.
But I found that hilarious. Dad ankle though.
Right. Right.
Show off my ankles.
Some things to look forward to this week in some future episodes. On Thursday's show, it's going to be a Broadway themed show. We're going to be talking a lot of things Broadway. Mary's going to bring us some strange news. Hopefully my dogs stop barking in the background. And then also on Sunday's show, we're going to recap the suggestion of the week. So I have suggested to Mary to watch Howard Stern's Private Parts, which was kind of an inspiration for me for, being a radio host. And what's going to be fun is I'm going to tell you some stories about when I did an internet radio show back in the the early 2000s, and some of the things that I tried to do and tried to say that definitely would not hold up.
You would be lynched
today.
like a mob and a lynch outside waiting.
For sure. And then what movie did you want me to watch? It was a Disney movie.
Super old Disney movie that I was obsessed with when I was really young. It's called So Dear to My Heart. And it's a journey.
Well, I can't wait. So Dear to My Heart.
I hope you enjoy it.
So we're going to be
as I did when I was like 5.
We're going to be recapping that for each other on Sunday's show. So look forward to that. And of course, we always have other shenanigans. Make sure that you like and subscribe and share our YouTube channel. The most recent video is Mary's reaction to the Red Wedding, and it is fantastic. It is worth the hype. And it's good. Also,
I'm glad you mock my pain.
That's another movie. That's Princess Bride.
Princess Bride, yeah.
We'll also have one segment from this episode up on YouTube. Make sure that you like and follow us on Facebook, No New Friends Podcast. We can be found on Instagram, no.new.friends.podcast. And then Orlando Weekly. Please make sure you nominate us for Orlando Weekly's Best of Orlando competition under Local Color Best Local Podcast. And we'll be back on Thursday.
Okay, bye.